Hello and good morning out there. I'm Mike DuPont. Thanks for tuning in to Mike is Kinda Funny. Today is Thursday, December 19th. And last night in the world of basketball on ESPN specifically, we had two games. First off, the late game. We'll start with the late game. Sorry about that. First off, the late game, we had the Mavs and the Celtics. Mavs put up a good fight. They almost were able to come back. Almost were able to fight their way back into it in the fourth quarter. They definitely made a run late in the last 4 or 5 minutes or so. Again, playing without Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic sitting out for the next week, possibly week and a half, with the ankle injury. If you've been sitting under a rock, this guy Luka Doncic, he's in his second season and he's pretty good. Right now, he's borderline triple-double, averaging a triple-double each night. He's leading the league. He's got the most triple doubles. I believe he's got 8, if not 9, one or the other. He's definitely leading the league in triple doubles right now. He's got to be. I don't understand how you could have a conversation about the most valuable player in the league right now and not have it and not involve Luka Doncic. But here's the problem. The Mavericks are not that bad without him. I mean, they were able to beat Milwaukee 2 nights ago. In Milwaukee right now, they've got the defending MVP and the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. They were able to go beat them, but as you can see tonight, they fell to the Celtics in Dallas at home and weren't able to. It wasn't enough to beat the Celtics. And so, as you can see, you've seen the good, and I wouldn't call this bad, but you've seen both sides of the spectrum with and without him, and you've also seen both sides of the spectrum without him. You've seen the good Mavericks, and you've seen the Mavericks that might face some challenges if they have to play extended games, if they have to play extended weeks. Plural, without Luka Doncic, if they were to potentially enter a playoff series without Luka Doncic. They're seeing right now what that direct impact would have. Now, giving credit to the bench, I mean, the bench has been tremendous. You can't have a conversation about the Mavericks without talking about how dynamic and how instrumental their bench has been in keeping them in games and keeping them in conversations this season. And it's really been interesting. It's really been great. It's really been an inspirational follow, if you will. Now on the other end, you got to give some credit to the Celtics because they did win the game, and it's nice to see the Celtics go on the road and be able to hold up a game. It's nice to be able to see the Celtics go on the road and be able to win a game, especially with a relatively young team. I mean, Al Horford's gone. Kyrie Irving's not a young guy, but he's not there anymore. Right now, the veteran on the team, they're looking to Kemba Walker, for leadership. And Kemba Walker's not really a guy with a lot of postseason experience, but it's good to see them be able to go on the road and get a win with the crowd against them. And you got to give them their credit for that. I mean, you look at Jason Tatum, and you've got to be thrilled with the potential that he packs. Now, moving over to the first game that took place, the Miami Heat beat the Philadelphia 76ers on ESPN in the early game. I believe it was 108-103. The Heat won. If you take a look at the box score, judging by the box score, Josh Richardson had himself. I mean, if you watched the game, then you saw it. But if you didn't watch the game, you could take a look at the box score and figure it out real quick. Josh Richardson took some bad shots. Josh Richardson is a guy that they're going to need. He can't be a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shot type of guy. They're going to need him to contribute. And then at the same time, Josh Richardson should never be leading the team in shot attempts. You've got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and Tobias Horford. Oh, and this guy Al Horford, Tobias Harris, and this guy Al Horford. You got all 4 of them on the court. And Josh Richardson's leading the team in shot attempts. How does that work? I'm going to need somebody. Feel free to explain to me if you want to drop down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And you can explain to me how Josh Richardson deserves the bulk of the shot attempts among those 5 guys. But like I said, that kind of contributed directly to them losing again. They only lost by 5 points. You think about if maybe 3 or 4 of those shots had went to Al Horford or Tobias Harris or even Ben Simmons, instead of Josh Richardson. Now, the one problem, a lot of those bad, ill-advised shots that Josh Richardson was taking were three-pointers. You don't want Ben Simmons just posted up on the three-point line. Now, I know a lot of you would like to see him shoot, but it's a process. I know you've heard that a lot in Philadelphia, and you're going to hear it again. You just got to trust it. You got to stick with it. A lot of you, our problem in our world that we live in today is we want everything right now. We don't understand why it can't happen in this instant. And sometimes instant gratification does not have a direct correlation to long-term success. Just because Ben Simmons can maybe shoot 37% from the three-point line this season doesn't mean that he's going to come back next season or the season after that and have the same type of trust in his form or in his release. You would much rather have him to be a fluid in every piece of his form, in every piece of his release, than you would have him. Than you would rather have him just going out and putting shots up. Now, I understand on the other side of that argument, you can't get that form where you want it without getting those shots up, but that's what the practice gym is for, and that's why I understand you can't follow what they're doing in practice, but you just got to trust that those shots are getting put up in practice. That's all you can do. You see the Instagram stories, you see the little snippets that end up on Facebook and Snapchat here and there. You see him taking these shots in games that don't matter, and that's because he's trying to build up some type of develop some type of trust and confidence in that release, in the entire motion, in the entire movement, so that when he's ready to do it in games that count, it's just second nature. Now, obviously, that was a lot more on Ben Simmons' jumper than I planned to, and I apologize for that. But at the same time, this is a basketball hub, so if you don't want to talk basketball, you're probably in the wrong place. Now, we got to give a little credit to the Miami Heat. They did win the game. Got to give a lot of credit to the Miami Heat, actually. The Miami Heat, I definitely, when Jimmy Butler signed with them, I thought this was a team that could potentially be a playoff team. But in no realm did I think this was a top four. Now, I understand some people are going to say it's the East, but in no realm, in no situation did I envision the Miami Heat being a top four contender. And right now, you can't tell them that they're not. And they're doing it with guys. They're doing it kind of under the Mavericks foundation, with guys that you might not have heard of, guys that just come in and do their job and they work hard. Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, guys that are young, but at the same time, the franchise is trusting in them and they're allowing them to grow and develop. And you're seeing that growth and development on the court. And not only that, more importantly, they have a superstar who started at the same level they did. You think about Jimmy Butler, you think about his rise, his ascension. You got to remember he was an undrafted player as well. So it means a little bit more to him when he's working next to these guys who are everyday Joes, and just playing check to check. And it means a little bit more to him to make sure that these guys are developing and growing and having an opportunity to succeed. So when you're playing next to a guy like Jimmy Butler, and that's kind of that's kind of your situation, so to speak, where you're kind of playing for your next contract, Jimmy Butler can relate to that, and you're definitely going to have opportunities playing next to him. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to like and share. Also, would love it if you would subscribe. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at Mic'd Up. If you want to add me on Facebook, I'm Mike DuPont II. Again, the YouTube page is Mike is Kinda Funny. Thanks for following. It's December 19th. We definitely appreciate you for tuning in. Hope you have a great day. Feel free to leave a comment below.